Isn't it relaxing to not actually be in combat anymore? Welcome back, folks. Let's let's just have a nice, easy talk about where we're at right now in the campaign, and just sort of review how the last contract went. Not great is the summary, but for those who don't want to just TLDR, let's get into a bit more depth. Let's start with where we are right now with our forces that we can deploy. We started this campaign with a heavy lance, a medium lance, and a light lance. Now, the heavy lance was several tons short of a heavy lance, and the light lance and medium lance were filled with a mix of units that brought them pretty close to their mark. We're now currently fielding 3 medium lances that are pretty close to the proper tonnage for it. Now, this likely isn't going to be my full fielding. I do have some stuff in the works. More on that later. But it does give a kind of good overview of where we stand with all of our current equipment. Honestly, I want to talk more in depth about each one of these guys and the mechs that they work with in their separate tabs. So really, I feel like just a quick overlook of just how much all of these are worth. You can pause, take a look, enjoy all you want, but I think I'm just going to move on. Not much more to talk about in this page. This page, though, plenty of scenarios to overview. Now, I gave a little review at the end of each one of these, so it probably doesn't bear much need to talk about everything over again. But just taking a quick look at how we did and what we fought against. Our first mission, and I'm going to be kind of just going off the top of my head for this, if I'm being completely honest. I probably could have reviewed tape and set up a better comparison, but that would have kind of ruined the informal quality of this. First mission went okay. We actually managed to score a victory, didn't lose too much in terms of mechs or vehicles. We didn't lose any vehicles, because we don't own any vehicles, but we didn't lose a lot in this first one. It was just pretty light. We managed to take home some broken locust, and I think maybe a javelin. No, didn't get the javelin, just the broken locusts, but we fixed those up, and as best we could, scrapped the other ones and put them together into another one that we eventually sold. Made a bit of money off of that one. Pretty good, pretty good. Big Sky Lance. You'll see that name a lot. These guys got a lot of work. Now, part of that is because they spent most of the mission assigned to scout. Scouts are more likely to see a contact because they're supposed to be, looking for trouble. They're out, they're looking for stuff, they're scouting ahead, but usually they're supposed to get engaged with some pretty light contact. Lots of vehicles, lots of lighter mech pods, lots of counters like this one, 1/4 and 1/4. That wasn't always true during this mission, during this particular contract, but we managed to pull through in the end. The hold the line that we had with Firebrand Lance. Now this is where stuff started to get nasty. We won this one, as I recall, but at the time, Sheila Salami, Happy, managed to lose her commando to some bad back shots. That was our first mech loss of the campaign, and it happened right off the bat, right in our first week. That was rough, but we ultimately recovered from that, got her in a better mech. The real person who suffered from this was our training lance, and it was intended to put, Private Pia Croquet, give her some levels, give her some information, some training, some stuff to work on. And because we had to instantly scale back, couldn't even trust our training lances to go unassaulted, she didn't get that chance. So unfortunately, she spent a lot of this campaign as a seat warmer. And what action she did get, she just didn't perform very well in. I'm hoping that we can maybe get a nice contract next time, maybe against pirates or something, where we can really get her some training. But for right now, that just didn't happen. Yes, this is where we started to see. So let's back up a bit. Talk about Operation Iron Oak as a whole. went to Sabik, went to employed by the Lyran Commonwealth, enemy Draconis Combine. You can read. If I had to point at one big mistake that I made for this whole campaign so far, it's taking an integrated. If I'm completely honest, I forgot what integrated meant. I was mentally assigning it to one that is not as bad, a liaison, I believe. I hadn't just didn't quite ken what it was, and didn't even bother to check the rules to double check what integrated actually meant. If I had realized that, let's take a quick talk about why integrated is so bad, especially early on in the game. Integrated companies, as you know, require the ally to send 2 mechs with you. This is bad because those 2 mechs are controlled by the AI, who is generally just not that bright. It's bad because that takes up slots in your own deployment, so you can only deploy up to 4 of your guys. You can't create a lance of size 5 or 6. And it's especially bad because it gives a lot of opportunities for your allies to make bad mistakes, to get their own units killed, and nuke your contract score because of something that you really just didn't have a lot of control over. But the absolute reason it's worse of all to take early on, you can sometimes get away with this later on in your campaign, when you got bigger units, is because of how enemy reinforcements are generated. Enemies will, most of the time, generate a lance that's lighter than yours. Now, if you've got lances that are assault lances, heavy lances, stuff like that, that means that they're generating medium mechs. They're generating heavy mechs. Occasionally, they do generate mechs of the same size as your company, which means that they will generate other assaults, other heavies, other mediums. When you've just got a heavy, a medium, and a light, most of the time your allies are going to be fielding light companies. They're light mechs. And because our ally in this particular one was D-rated on their mechs, that means that they're going to be pulling stuff that's kind of closer to the bottom of the list in terms of quality. And when you're talking light and low quality, you're talking some stuff that falls apart really easy. If we had taken this contract several years from now, when I've got Central equipped out with an assault, Big Sky equipped out with a heavy, when I've just gone full Lyran and it's, I'm using a heavy lance as my scout lance, this is less of an issue, because then your allies have medium mechs, they have heavy mechs, they have mechs that can take a slight pounding and still conceivably get away from the fight. This early on, that was just a mistake. And we paid for it on this hide and seek. Our allies lost us this by pretty much leaping their fat asses into the line of fire and managing to get destroyed and taken apart. We didn't lose any of our own. We only lost about 3 mechs during the entire campaign. But, well, we'll get to that in a bit. But we lost this one because of our allies just screwing up. Wow. That guy's parents must have hated him. Either that or he's named in an attempt to just absolutely fuck over someone's database. Jesus. I didn't even notice that. Now, I would like to note that we had more victories than we had failures, but this one was one of those examples of a victory that was somewhat bittersweet because of our allies. This is the one where we were betrayed by our allied Wolverine and Crab as we were attempting to make a breakthrough. We got through. We got through just fine. But we didn't screen for our allies, and because of that, they ran straight into the enemy's guns, tried to take kicks in a storm in, on slick pavement, and fell over and broke their heads, and then the enemies just tore them to pieces, and they abandoned their mechs immediately. In fact, there wasn't even any tearing to pieces. They just fell over, realized that they couldn't get up, and abandoned their mechs. It was the stupidest damn thing. That's why I still think that this was all some sort of insurance scheme, hand off to the Draconis. There's some shady business going on in this one, and I'm gonna tattle. So that wasn't really fun start for our Central Lance. Oh, by the way, you might have missed this one. Full disclosure, this one did not properly get uploaded. So if you haven't seen this one, it's called like, you know, Don't Feed the Draconis or something. Go look it up. I'm sorry I missed this one. This was the first time Central was actually fielded, and boy was it thematic, but boy was it also, well, spoilers, we won, but not really. Next one was much more straightforward. The stand-up fight was actually pretty good for us. Uh, as I recall on this one, we didn't take home any really good salvage. We mostly focused on destroying vehicles so that we could start winning stuff and win back our contract score. But this was the beginning of the, let's see here, this started in March, so this was April? Well, of course it's April, it's 4. The April push, when the Draconis became aware of us and just gave us a solid chunk of missions to field. Right after that stand-up, we had a recon raid, our first one. This was another defeat, and that one was entirely on me. This one I can't even blame on my allies as much as I'd like to, because it would pretty much boil down to me getting too ambitious, sending a light mech, poor Twinkletoes and her Hornet. This is what I'm trying to remember. It's not Wasp, it's not Stinger. Wasp and Hornet I've been getting mixed up. The Hornet here. Hornet was a pretty okay light mech, even for a 20-tonner. Hornets are okay. I kept saying, like, Wasps are okay, and then I go look at it, and it's like, no, Wasps aren't okay. This is still garbage. What am I thinking of? It's the Hornet. Hornet's what I'm thinking of. 20-ton mech that has a fair amount of armor and is pretty, is still, well, it's slow for a light mech, but makes up for it by being pretty defensible. But even with that extra defense, she was not set up to take on a pack rat, a scorpion, a skulker, and especially not that Saladin that slapped her upside her mech with a AC-20. I definitely should have protected her, and that was a stupid move on my part. But we learned. Stand-up attacker. What did we do this one in? What happened? We had a friendly griffin and crab. Considering that I never took home an Osel or a Phoenix Hawk, I'm guessing on this one we just busted up another Wasp that we probably sold. Oh no, wait, I remember this one. This one was in that, mining town. We took home the Rommel tank and I think a Bulldog, fixed it up and ended up selling it, because even though I managed to... Yeah, I kept saying I want to get into some mixed fight stuff. We really just need to focus first on putting butts in mechs and getting a nice roster of that before we try any tricky gimmicks. You know, we need to walk before we run. Now this mission will have a special place in my heart for the whole campaign. Captain Kobe El Garouge. Bullseye. Bravest man in the entire company. Taking his stalker out into the middle of a pitch-black, moonless night, and facing down 3 heavy mechs, Thunderbolt, Marauder, and Rifleman. One, he knocks the fuck out on his first shot. The other, he legs and manages to put it down on the ground and force its pilot to eject. The Thunderbolt fucking ran for his life, and we would have had him too if it weren't for the fact that we had to had to win at 2 enemy mechs down. That was a good match, and really it's put a very influential unit in our lineup, and that Rifleman was worth about 2 million C-bills after we sold it. Our funds are doing pretty good for how nasty that match was, or for how nasty this campaign was, or this particular contract. I'm going to use these terms all interchangeably. This one. This is the one where the Lyrans, once again, sent their heaviest mechs that they have to help us with just a bunch of mediums and vehicles. Although, come to think of it, they did send a Phoenix Hawk and some Centurions. I guess it kind of makes sense that the Lyrans sent decent mechs for this one. Even if as I recall, They pretty much spent the whole time fucking around, especially this Centurion, who deployed behind a bunch of water and then stayed there the whole match, just firing his AC-10 at anything that came even moderately in range, and hit nothing. It was just embarrassing again for the Lyrans, but we came out pretty hot. We smoked a lot of this stuff, and unfortunately, we didn't take home much in the way of these mechs, as I recall. That Centurion is not the Centurion we're currently fielding. The Centurion we're currently fielding, we bought. Yeah, see, Sergeant Li Guang already had her Centurion then. That's when we were still fixing up her new Marauder. This did mark the start of so this special mission ambush, only mission that we got in June, because I mean June was just May, March, April, May. What am I thinking? This was the only mission that we got. The Lyrans had been put on very low morale, but I am actually convinced that that was just Lyran poor intelligence, because they came back with a vengeance in June. We had 8 missions in June, nearly 2 a week, and it was just hammering us into the ground. This stand-up went well, an auspicious start. We just managed to catch them off guard and put that small scout lance into the ground, but then they started coming heavier and heavier. They managed to sort of divert Big Sky with this lighter pod of vehicles. Once again, Allies send medium mechs to fight the vehicles, while they forced our Firebrand Lance, which was still fielding pretty much whatever we could put together, against... There's another guy who's just designed to fuck with your... Is this a family name? Rock, semicolon, lead? I guess it would have to be, but is that like a place? I don't know what the bin means. I'm ignorant. Now, as I recall, this one actually turned out pretty well for us. We actually managed to lock this one down, this recon raid, because they just sent a bunch of vehicles. We played it smart, we kind of stuck to the trees, and we ambushed their stuff as it came in to knock it out piece by piece. And that way we could actually complete the recon raid and take home the bonus prize, which was a civilian mech, and a civilian mech that was worth nearly 2 million C-bills. Not quite that much, but we did manage to also scrap a little bit of stuff off of it, ammo-wise, and that probably rounded it out to worth 2 million C-bills to us. I should probably talk about how that works in a moment, but I'll leave that for a moment. Oh yeah, this is another one that we lost. What did we lose this one because of? Oh. This is the one where our Lyran allies jumped into the middle of a mud puddle and then got shot like fucking pop-up target ducks. This one was over in like 4 turns. Lyrans are fucking idiots. I would have loved to come home with some of that hunchback. That would have been nice. Right. This is one where we actually had to send out Meta Allen, Sassy's Wolverine, while it still had some arm damage. But from the looks of things, yeah, this is the one where we totally blitzed them. Managed to wipe out enough of their vehicles that they couldn't get their reinforcements in. We were still just looking for victories, because that defeat had set us way back again on this fucking Lyran insurance scheme. But the next one... This is another mission that will stick in my mind forever. Central Lance. Captain Kobe, Lieutenant Senior Grade Gerald Areda, Corporal Isra Adams, and Sergeant Li Guang, all excellent pilots, great people, but they're not immune to luck. A fucking Pegasus scout hover tank fired a fucking missile down Captain Kobe's open gas tank, blew up his entire stalker. That one match lost us more C-bills worth of equipment than the entire rest of the campaign. It's just ridiculous. Now, I'll be honest, we salvaged more than enough to replace that stalker. That stalker is kind of expensive, but not hideously so. It's on the low end of the assault range, but even though we salvaged a bunch, we salvaged like 16 million C-bills and got paid more than that. Actually, no, we got paid less than that, but we got paid like half of that. The loss of that stalker goes a long way to making this not as good of a profit overall. But then again, the other heavy mechs we got have kind of then tipped this balance back in the scale, especially the Marauder and the Thunderbolt, so can't complain too much, but oh, I miss that stalker. I swear I'm going to put you in something just as good, Captain Kobe. You deserve the best. The rest of the squad that was not daunted by the loss of the best mech that we had, though, and they kept giving service and giving service. This mission, this was another one where we just totally bum rushed them. As I recall, Big Sky didn't even get a chance to get on the field. Oh, right. We didn't totally bum rush them. I'm remembering this one now. We did get them before Big Sky came on the field, but it was a mess. It was a fucking mess. I don't know how I had forgotten that. Because we deployed the Marauder way too close. Way too close. Marauder is a sniper mech. It's not supposed to get tangled up. It can. It's a heavy. It can take a shot or two. But once those Draconis smelled blood in the water, once they put some damage on that Marauder, it was coin flips, whether we lost that thing. We ended up getting half of it trashed, and we are lucky that the right half of it got trashed, although I think specifically that the right half was the left half. The left half, which was the correct half to trash, because if they had started trashing that autocannon ammo, we would have lost the whole damn mech. Fortunately, we just lost the autocannon 5 involved in it, and I am taking steps to prevent that from ever being a problem again. More on that in a bit. This one honestly went pretty well. It's another one of those where the enemy fielded some mechs that would have been difficult for us to take on our own, so we just kind of went for the low-hanging, the low-hanging fruit. We had to do that a lot on this contract just in order to try to... We couldn't afford to risk anything. We couldn't afford to risk it because we kept nuking our contract score because our allies did it for us. It was embarrassing. But we managed to pull through. One of the last ones of the whole thing. Central Lance, I gotta give some props to Lieutenant Senior Grade Gerald Ueda. Zero did a lot of good work during this campaign. He's an excellent crack shot, a great right hand to the commander, and when the commander was dispossessed, he stepped right into position and was ready to take the lead of Central. And Central did pretty excellent under his command. This was another tank stomp, so not much to mention on it, other than the fact that I think that this was a particularly brutal tank stomp, because I feel like we cleared nearly all of this contact. Maybe only one of these assholes actually got away. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure that that was the case. Maybe I should actually start filling out these after-action reports. Nah, that's not the way that Gerald would play this. And this one. God, talk about tense. The very last match of this mission. Big Sky on the line of fucking again for the I don't even know time. Let's take a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 missions in a single 4-month contract. I've had 6-month contracts that haven't had that many missions. I've had 10-month contracts against pirates that ended in like the third month and they all split. And we didn't have that many missions. They had 10. Granted, 3 of them just as reinforcements, and one of those that they didn't even manage to show up to. But still, though, that's a lot of screen time for Big Sky Lands. So Big Sky, big screen time, big successes. These guys got it all. I am glad to have them on my team, and what better people to be singing us out. Another tough match against a pod of enemies that is pretty handleable, except for the fact that the enemies are bringing, or our frenemies are bringing stingers, buckets on legs that could blow up at any second, any one of which could have lost us this contract. We managed to out bamboozle those stingers, try as they might to throw themselves into the enemy guns and destroy their mechs so that they could deny us a positive review on Yelp. They actually got shut down by an early hit on this Phoenix Hawk that disabled its engine, managed to put it into a bad heat debt so that it never did anything the whole mission. We kicked this Scorpion to death. It was hilarious. I thought we were going to take home its salvage, but I think we kicked it so hard to death in the water, caused it to actually flood, and we couldn't retrieve it or something. Either that or it's because it's a really weird mech and there's just, we didn't quite understand it. Don't see a lot of 4-legged mechs. They're just not that common. But that was Operation Iron Oak, and if we never see its like again, well, I guess life would be a little less exciting. After all, aren't you here for the excitement? As I've spent fucking 30 minutes already just talking about missions you've already seen? Let's take a look at where we are in the universe. We're getting the hell off Sabik. Now, that's still going to take a while. Sabik, 43 days to its jump point because of these big fucking suns. By my last count, it's gonna be what? Yeah. It's going to be 61 days full round trip to get to our final destination. Now, where are we going? We're going to Galatea. Now, I said we were never going to work with the Lyrans, and we're not. Fuck the Lyrans. They screwed me over one too many times. But just because we're not working with the Lyrans anymore isn't going to prevent me from landing in their territory, because Galatea is actually the place to be if you're a mercenary right now. So, quick lore bit, which, well, it's really only for the nerds who are not tired of the tedious nonsense yet, although I guess if you've gotten this far in the series, you got a pretty high tolerance for tedious nonsense, so I'm gonna go ahead. Outreach is typically where a lot of these Megamech campaigns start. That's because past 3039, Outreach is the place to be when you're a mercenary. It was awarded to the Wolf's Dragoons a little while before for combat actions that they had taken, and pretty much they got rewarded a whole planet for that. Wolf's Dragoons, a very famous mercenary company, very, very powerful, did a lot of stuff, and were pretty much special snowflakes for the setting, but, they had a kind of in-universe reason for being so. Up until then, though, Galatea here was pretty much the mercenary hotspot. It's what's known as a hiring hall in the rules for against the bot. And hiring halls come with the benefit of generating more contracts. And since we're on the look for our next contract, no better place to chill out than Galatea. Other hiring halls are spread kind of mishmash throughout the galaxy, although you can also find a hiring hall at each one of the central colonies, or I guess you'd call them capital worlds? Yeah, capital worlds of each of the main 5 factions. And I guess also technically Comstar, but who's gonna... there's no Comstar that's gonna hire you. Look at that name. There's some great names in this. I think Tharcad? Yeah, Tharcad. Tharcad is the Lyran homeworld. And, there's all sorts of lore here. If you want to read it, feel free. I'm putting it up on the screen. You can pause and read all over it. But me, I've already seen it. I'm just not that super interested. I mean, I'm interested. I won't lie, but it just doesn't matter much right now, you know. I've spent more time talking about why I'm not looking at this than actually not looking at this. So, if Draconis Combine lose something, I don't think it's Looter. It's Lushan? No, Luthien. Luthien is it. Luthien is the capital of the Draconis Combine, and they're just as fucking uptight as they come. Stupid, mercenary hating Bushido bastards. They need to fucking chill out. Am I right? That said, so the Draconis Combine is supposed to, by lore, not really offer contracts to mercenaries, because they fucking hate mercenaries. They think that they're dishonorable. Mech HQ pays some attention to that. The Against the Bots system does put a very low weight on the Draconis Combine generating contracts, but they still do it from time to time. And honestly, if I got a contract from the Draconis that was reasonable, I'd probably take it. I mean, we fought them. They gave us a bloody nose, but they showed some real competence out there. Not like those Lyran asshats who were our allies. They were our enemies, and I could respect them for being good at their job. I think I wouldn't mind having them on my side, other than the fact that they might try to backstab me because I'm a filthy mercenary. Free World Leagues, we all know and love the capital of that, Atreus. Spoilers, there's a clan world, Atreus. Spoilers, there's a clan. Atreus is, the home of freedom and liberty and mom and apple pie and all that good shit. It's where we spent a lot of time in the last campaign, because we pretty much got on famously with the Free World League and did a bunch of contracts with them. I think even got to the status of being like dedicated with them before I just kind of ran out of time. But, don't worry about that so much. Maybe we'll visit them again. What the hell is the Capellan one? I'm just going to click randomly and see if I can see something that says it. Is it Capella? It might be Capella. It says it's a politically important... I'm going to look it up. Sorry, just a moment. A Sion, apparently. Well, I guess that's it. Sion. I don't know what to talk about with them. I guess I could generally talk about how the current period of time we're in is the outset of the fourth successor war. If you were involved in my last campaign, you would have been involved only through Slack to get lore, because I didn't really talk much about the lore in the actual videos. So I'm gonna indulge myself. The current period of time that we're in, 3029, is the outset of the Fourth Succession War. Now, if you're familiar with Battletech at all, you know the Succession Wars are just a big series of, like hotter than Cold War, but colder than active wars that have been going on between these five chuckle fucks for literally hundreds of years at this point. Ever since the old Star League, which were a bunch of hot shots. Which conquered the whole damn galaxy with their technology and coordination. They fell. And a lot of the blame gets put on a guy that's from these Outer Rim guys, the Taurans. And, fair or not, the fall of the Star League allowed these guys to fracture, but after they fractured, they couldn't decide who was in charge. The Draconis Combine, what was his name? Like a controller? Coordinator coordinator said that it all belongs to me, obviously, and the Free World League guy was like, well, nuh-uh, I'm the captain general. And then everyone disagreed on everything, and they said, you know what, let's resolve it by blowing up everyone's planets with nukes. And then they blew up everyone's planets with nukes and bombed themselves back to the Stone Age and forgot how to make battle mechs. And then somewhere over here-ish, they had like the Ares convention, Artemis convention. It started with an A. Some A convention, which was like, okay, don't use nukes, you idiots. We've only got so many of these mech factories left. And everyone agreed to that, and warfare became more like weirdly chivalric, where you do things like we currently do, where once you meet a certain, preset kill limit, you let your enemy leave the field. You just say, all right, you've won. We declare you the victor. We are pulling back from our thing. Please don't make us lose any more precious tanks and battle mechs. Although I don't know why they care about tanks. Tanks we can still produce by the bucket load. That shit's cheap. But this is the fourth such one, which is pretty meaningless since the start and end of each one of these succession wars has pretty much been dictated by a quick moment of every going, hang on, we've all kicked each other in the nuts, give me a moment. Then like a 20-year breather, and then right back to war. And that's kind of how this one went also, except it's got an extra wrinkle. These two, the Federated Sons and the Lyran Commonwealth, they've been scheming. They've been schemers. They've made a political alliance last year, which culminated in the marriage between Prince Hans Davion, however you want to pronounce that, and Katrina Steiner. And pretty much at their wedding, Hans was like, Katrina, my dear, for your wedding gift, I give you the Capellan Confederation. And then they all fucking bum rushed these green bastards. The Capellans existed like up to around here. And notice how there's a lot of these planets that are now pretty fucking yellow. That was entirely so that the Federated Sons and the Lyrans could have a closer border, and right now they're kind of in the middle of making that happen. And this is just a giant clusterfuck. Do I have that view? This cool? Yeah. This is a new addition. This is super cool. It's kind of a giant clusterfuck of everyone inter-owning planets in all these areas, and right now, everyone's kind of in the mix except the Free Worlds League. They're just pretty much out of it. And this is going to culminate later in a big event that we may see in person. So, if you don't know what that event is, you probably should have looked it up on Google by the time we got to this, especially if you cared. But for right now, I'll go ahead and keep mum about it. But that's pretty much what's going on in the world. We can expect a lot of contracts against the Draconis Combine, because the Steiners are also taking this opportunity to air some grievances with them. The shit that Ouija's just involved in was probably part of that, if it wasn't so incompetent. But yeah, the Fourth Succession War is pretty much the war of fuck you, Draconis Combine, you piece of shit. We're gonna get rid of you once and for all. Spoilers, they don't, but they make a good go at it. So that was talking about them. Lastly, the hiring hall, back on my original topic, Jesus, of the Federated Sons is New Avalon. Boy, could you scream, we're the good guys of this setting any harder. The Federated Sons have kind of the Ultramarines problem, if you're at all familiar with that term. They're the like de facto kind of good guys of the setting. They're the ones who do things and have well-educated people, and everyone's got some freedoms, but it's sensible, and they keep everyone dealt. They take care of everyone, and so on and so forth. It's just fucking sickening. Bunch of damn Sioux. Get out of my face, you Sioux. That said, I'd probably work for them. They've got money. But we're not going to the hiring hall of any of these guys' planets. We're going to Galatea. Galatea is a neutral hiring hall, just for mercenaries. We're going to go there. We'll probably sit there a couple of months spinning our wheels while we look for a good contract. Because now that we're sitting on nearly 13 million C-bills, I feel pretty safe in just waiting a while. We never even have taken a loan with this company. We're doing pretty good. So let's take a look at the people who made that happen. This is X Company. Keep your eye on the right side. I did a lot of work making sure that at least all of my active combatants, except for all the soldiers don't matter. I mean, I'm even going to put fluff on all of my assistant, support squads, all the mech techs and all that shit. At least I know where they're from. Soldiers are non-people. Soldiers are equipment. They're just parts of a squad. These guys are each the individual hit points that are lost when your unit takes like 3 points of damage from a small laser. That's 3 dudes. They had names. Who gives a shit? Now, this infantry unit's probably never getting sent into battle, not unless we get attacked right on the nose. So, yeah, they don't get any background. But folks like Captain Kobe do, and I want you to pay particular attention as I go through these. I won't talk about it too much, but to stuff that's in this personnel log. Now, there's going to be a lot of shit in the personnel log. Participated in breakthrough stand-ups in it. And honestly, once I'm done with this map, this particular update, I'm probably going to wax most of this shit. It just gets in the way. We have another record that tells us who participated in what when. I mean, we've got the briefing room that contains a full record of that shit. We don't need it in a personnel log as well. It just takes up room. But you'll note that I've put what I like to call my drama system. I'm going to get real nerdy for a second here. It's going to get uncomfortable. I guarantee it. One of the things that I love about Mech HQ, and especially against the bot campaigns, is because the system is so simple, so empty, you're free to kind of come up with your own story for why things are happening and what's happening in them. This is something you can do in any game. I know if anyone's ever played XCOM, you know that some of your soldiers, they get along. They're friends. They work together well on missions. When you field this guy with this guy, they're going to be, critting aliens left and right. Well, obviously, those two are drinking buddies, and they aren't about to let any one of their others down. In this game, I'm manufacturing that a little bit with what I like to call the drama engine. The drama engine is very, very simple right now. It's just a spreadsheet that I created that does a couple rolls. If the roll is such and such high, the employee in question has an event. Then you roll for the type of event they have, positive or negative, and the intensity of the event. And then I make up what that event was. You can see here, just a quick snapshot, that lots of people rolled pretty well on having an event this month. Or, not this month, but I planned on kind of doing these 6 months apiece. Not too slow, not too fast. I kind of skipped it for the beginning of this month because we were so close to contract end. I figured I'd just mix it in with the contract. But any other contract where we're not so close, I'll probably go ahead and do a quick drama update. But for each one of these ones that happened, you'll see an entry in the personnel log or what actually happened during that particular operation and particular drama roll. And, if you're paying attention, you could also, take little screenshots of the snipping tool that I just put up there. Create your own shipping wall. Tell me about your OTP. In the X shit. Fucking a corpse. I couldn't keep it straight. Anyways, but just keep an eye on it. It's something fun. Kobe El Garouge, Captain Kobe, our call sign Bullseye, but I almost never call him that because Captain Kobe, Commander Kobe, rolls off the tongue so well. I couldn't ask for a better guy to lead my mech company. He's got excellent gunnering, good piloting, excellent piloting. He is a veteran, he's pretty much an elite. He is an elite. He's an elite through and through, and really, I just couldn't ask for anyone better. This is stuck on fluff information. Is that, fluff information's fine. That's fine. I'm down with that. Although, actually, would it be cooler to do... Oh, yeah, graphic looks way cooler. He's, as far as I've been able to tell during the course of this campaign, he is a very mild-mannered man. He's calm, he's collected, he's friendly with his troops. He doesn't actually get very angry with folks. He's very confident in his abilities, but also wants to give his troops a chance to shine, and believes that even, the most unskilled of his troops, even the most unskilled has a place in X Company, and may grow into a great warrior. This guy is a leader and a gentleman, and I would serve under him any day. His right-hand man, Lieutenant Senior Grade Gerald Ueda, a veteran who has served by his side for countless years now. Well, not countless, they're counted, but, a fair number of years now. He's also a bit of a slacker when it comes to non-mech fighting, but out in the field, you don't want anyone else backing you up. He is a crack shot when it comes to laser weapons, and he'll just never let you down when he's on the field and in something that gains a lot of heat. He is an excellent right-hand man and has been an excellent temporary lance leader for as long as the captain has been out of action, which was practically half the campaign, unfortunately. Lieutenant Sassy Meta Allen. Oh yeah, Lieutenant Gerald Ueda is 0, but you can read that. Lieutenant Sassy Meta Allen, our second of our lieutenants, proved herself to be a pretty competent commander. It may be true that she's gotten a little aggressive in her position as the chief scout of X Company, because she was constantly getting into scraps, but she very rarely got in over her head. She always had a good idea of what her unit could take, what they couldn't take, and only committed them when it seemed worthwhile to take the shot. She's generally she generally doesn't interact much with the rest of the crew, unfortunately. I think she's got some issues that she's still working through because of the planet she came from. Not a great place, New Cape Town. It sort of was populated by Nazis. Or, at least white supremacists is what the fluff will tell you. Yeah, they have fluff for planets that are occupied by white supremacists. Yeah, mostly the fluff existed to point out how they're idiots, though. But she has been a capable leader, and I'm glad to have her on the team. Sheila Salami, happy I'm not entirely happy with. Now, not all of that is her fault. She got put in some pretty shit missions. Firebrand Lance was always kind of the cast-off Lance. It was created with whatever we had left over after I made Central. Central was full of my heavy stuff. I made a solid medium. And then Firebrand was just kinda, and also whatever else I can put together. I put her in a training lance. I expected that she wouldn't see a lot of action, saw action right off the bat. I put her in a mix of medium mechs along with her in a heavy. It kinda worked, but she was just so slow, and the rest of them just a mix of guys who really didn't have much going for them. Like, they were all competent pilots, but they didn't have any star player that just couldn't achieve as easily as the others. I kind of given Happy a raw deal, especially, I mean, I guess I just kind of sort of underestimated her, since her very first action was to go and expose her back to an enemy and get her commando shot out from under her, but I don't know, maybe she might have a lot to prove right now. That said, she can hold a grudge like nobody's business, so she might not be terribly happy with me right now. Don't worry, we'll get her in the field. She'll get some experience, she'll get a lance that isn't made of cast-off parts, and then we'll really see Happy shine. I feel confident about this. One of our later pickups, Master Sergeant Dizzy Numair Saeed. Now, he's a Master Sergeant pretty much right off the bat, because I base my ranking system, perhaps a bit unfairly, just on the veterancy of the pilot. This guy's an elite. He's rocking the same stat line as Captain Kobe, except that he's got way better tactics. Holy shit. But Numair Saeed came to our company in just a Hermes. That's kind of restricted him from doing the best that he could, but he still manages pretty well in that really light medium that he's in, and the Hermes does serve a good role, helping to round out the company. That said, I'd love to get him in something heavier. Maybe, if my dreams come true, I can put him in the Thunderbolt that we've got waiting. We'll see. We'll see. He's had a pretty rough life as it is, and that's made him experienced, but he's not a particularly happy man. He hasn't interacted much with the company. He's still getting used to the idea of being a part of people who don't see him as just an expendable schmuck. Well, in any case, I expect great things from this guy, and in fact, he's possibly a candidate to be a new officer. We'll talk about that in a moment. Sergeant Barati Ruma, Jeannie. She's done some great work for me. Now, unfortunately, she hasn't got a lot on her kill tally for all the missions that she's participated in, just because her mech isn't the hottest. The Dervish is an okay mech. It can dish out harassing damage at far range, harassing damage at close range, but it doesn't really have any deal sealer weapons like a large laser, an AC-10, a PPC. It doesn't have any of those weapons that's like, when you got a guy and he's on weak armor, you just zap him and he's dead. Doesn't really have that. And she doesn't have a lot in the way of, like, real cool crit seekers either. She doesn't have an SRM-6 or an LRM-15, all of these other things that other people have been using to really lock enemies down and blow them up because you search for crits and you get lucky. The Dervish just has a nice mixture of stuff that can put a moderate amount of damage on foes and can take a beating, but is kind of a powder keg because if you do strip through its armor, it's got so many slots that are full of explosives that I'm sort of nervous to use it. I'd love to get her into a better mech, but right now we just don't have it. I expect that she'll probably prove herself to be a pretty competent pilot. I mean, she's got good gunnery. She is a crack shot. She just needs an opportunity to get into a mech that can really serve her purposes. If I remember correctly, she's actually an excellent shot with medium lasers. Hopefully we can get her into a mech that represents that. Sergeant Rima Idris is our foot platoon commander. She's been running recon for us for several weeks now, and unfortunately just hasn't quite managed to get us that crucial bit of tactical information that we need to totally shut the enemy down. But that's why it's a long-term investment to have a company of soldiers. It's a 1 in 6 chance. You can't always rely on it, but when it happens, it's totally worth it because it'll save you time, or it's totally not. But that's what we've got. One other thing we can potentially do with her unit is if we can provide it with transportation, which wouldn't be that expensive. We outfit them with motor vehicles, we outfit them with some APCs. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it's chump change compared to a mech. We can turn them into a motorized platoon, and a motorized platoon would be able to do a nice thing called search and rescue for us. Search and rescue is a very simple operation that says, if during any mission this week, a pilot dies, they didn't die. They were smushed up against a canyon wall. But by God, Sergeant Rima Idris and Idris Patrol, whatever I called. Oh, right, Platoon 3E. I remember I was doing a little reference there. You might catch it if you're in the know, but probably not. But she'd be able to swing in, save their ass, bring them back to me with 5 hits on them, but they'd still be alive. I could still save them, and that might be really worth it because I've got a lot of veteran pilots on this squad. I would hate to lose them. For example, Sergeant Li Suang Guang. Pugs. Oh, Pugs is going to be a rising star. I get this feeling that Pugs is kind of like, you know, despite the fact that she's actually one of our older candidates, just look at that face. She is just glad to be here. She is so glad to be a mech pilot. Everything, you know, it's everything she is, everything she ever wanted to be, and her uh, innate capabilities at piloting, well, not piloting, but just shooting a mech, is going to make her a deadly force in that Marauder. I am super looking forward to what I can do with that thing, especially once I've got it refitted. Spoilers, I'm refitting it. You might be able to see that. This is an investment in my future. Chief Petty Officer Nazima Ben Sarraj, Dynamite. She's an aero pilot. Now, we haven't seen much aerospace craft come across our monitor yet, but if we can, I'm planning on putting together a special. It's not a full rule in Against the Bot, it's kind of a house rule that people have put together with using aero. You can kind of have an aero wing on standby. Arrows are, it's just a general term for things that are aircraft, except they're designed to work in air and space, and they're really cool. They're pretty much flying mechs, and you can use them to do stuff like bombing runs, to do uh, just to dive bomb an enemy with lasers and missiles, or just actual straight up bombs. They can be a great tactical and strategic element for reinforcing a unit that is suffering from a bad roll and has a really nasty fight ahead of it, like what Firebrand keeps getting. She's an investment in our future, and I hope that the unit market will cough up a good arrow that I can put her in. Fingers crossed. That said, she literally joined our company like yesterday. She showed up on the unit market the beginning of this week, and I was kind of on the fence about hiring her, but she is an elite. And besides, I just had this idea that she's probably the last remnant of, or, like the only member of the Sabik Air Force the Sabik Assault Air Force that the Lyrans brought with no fucking planes, the idiots. So, she's an important story element too. Corporal Mike Manassa, Twitch. He didn't get fielded a lot this contract. He actually got a surprising number of kills for the number of times that he was fielded in that urban mech. His problem, he's fielded in an urban mech. Urban mechs, they're kind of funny. They're the little underdogs of BattleTech. They're a light that's got movement 3. They move slower than many assault mechs, but are packing an AC-10, and every time they fire it, they kind of fall over. It's just hilarious. It's kind of a walking turret, except not as well armored. We'll get him in a better mech at some point. Trust me, he'll be able to do some work. Corporal Wilford Hardy here, Bo, is a kind of an interesting story. This guy was taken as prisoner on the very first mission we did, and he sat in our prisoner quarters for a long time. I actually kind of forgot about him, but when I was checking stuff for my for finalizing this particular contract, I found him, and he was wanting to defect. He had it marked on his little roster that he was willing to defect. Not on his personnel log, on a little thing that was next to him, so I made a little note in his personnel log to make sure that we knew about that. And it kind of, well, he was one of the very first mech pilots we knocked out of action. In fact, he was knocked unconscious, and that's why we got to take him home. Otherwise, we didn't do really great on taking enemy pilots prisoners, but we did well enough. We got a little bit of money off of ransoming back. But Wilford Hardy struck me as the kind of guy who really just wanted to belong, and wasn't getting that from his Draconis buddies. I mean, he was a 4-4 with 4 in artillery. That's a useful side skill if you ever have artillery support. Another thing I'd fucking love to get. Artillery and BattleTech. It can be the most beautiful thing in the world if it actually lands in the right place. But this is a decently skilled individual, and they packed him into a fucking tin can and sent him into battle. It's a total lack of respect for his capabilities, and I wasn't about to put up with it. So Corporal Wilford Hardy, also a guy that we pretty much hired yesterday, but welcome to X Company, and, here's your bunk. I'm sure we'll get you a mech at some point. He was actually the guy that put us over 15 active combat personnel. Uh, a quick reminder, every 3 combat personnel that you have, infantry don't count, count toward a number, every 3 that you get to assign another person as a officer. Evidently, mech warriors and aero pilots and vehicle crews all count as one unit, uh, need a lot of special attention. So you got to have one officer for every 3 of these dinguses you got. But because we're packing 15 now, we can assign another person to be an officer. Haven't decided who I want to do yet. Kind of deciding between taking the obvious choice and someone who's less obvious because they've got more experience with the crew or more experience with the company or something. It's probably going to be. Well, I don't know. The problem is the Master Sergeant is just so useful as someone I can deploy in other places. I just don't know who I'm going to assign yet. I've been hemming and hawing on that one. I'll make the decision before we get into our next contract, that's for certain. But till then, I just don't know. Corporal Umrana Karansi, Small. Small has a very mixed reputation within my company. When she hits, it's usually pretty good. That PPC does good work. But damn, she needs to spend the time sighting that bitch in because she just cannot land a shot. I'd say that she can't land a shot to save her life, but she hasn't died yet, so she can land shots to save her life. It's just she really needs to spend some time practicing with that Shadowhawk. Shadowhawks can do good work, you just gotta land the shots. She's a moderately skilled pilot. 4-5 is the Inner Sphere standard, so I feel like she should have landed a lot more of those shots than she ever did. We'll see how her luck turns out in the next one. Corporal Laura Henstock, Twinkletoes. Twinkletoes I feel really bad for. Twinkletoes brought her mech to us, and just, I squandered it. Granted, it was a 20-ton mech, but it was a pretty decent 20-ton mech. And I put it in a bad position, got it destroyed, and I'm just still to this day embarrassed about what happened there. I'm very glad that I was able to get her into a new Centurion. She's done some pretty good work in it, and I look forward to seeing more from her in the future. It may be a candidate for a mild refit I've got planned for her. We'll see how that turns out. Corporal Isra Adam, Babe. Babe is a tough bitch. There's no other way of putting it. She has been at the front and center of so many of these missions where I've just said, Wolverines can take a beating, let's go let the Wolverine take a beating. Especially one of the early on missions where she was still working with, if I remember correctly, she was working in Firebrand Lance, and we were assigned that mission where we had the enemy assault in it. In fact, this was the one where Twinkletoes lost her mech because I got greedy and got stupid. Her mech got shredded to pieces. It was just torn up all over, and she had gotten hit in the head all the time and just pounded to absolute gravy, and still managed to walk it home. Since then, she's taken a shitload of hits, especially ones like to the head and stuff, and she's just shrugged it off. She doesn't care. She is made of steel, that Babe, and I am glad to have her on my team. She is a great part of Central Lance now. Katie Tripp, Wasp, or Katie Tripp, Icicle, didn't get fielded a lot this time. I mean, okay, she did actually get fielded a fair amount, but she spent a lot of time during those missions being kind of a bench warmer because she's sitting in a Wasp. Wasps are bad. They are not good mechs. They are bad mechs. They are very weak. They can get destroyed. An AC-20 on your side torso can destroy you. That's how bad they are. Any other mech can take a shot like that. It would hurt. It would fucking suck. But they can take a shot like that. Not a Wasp. If an AC-20 hits you pretty much anywhere, you're done. It's been unfortunate for her. She's not a bad pilot. She's a moderate pilot, one of those 4-5s that's still, middle of the road. I want to get her in something better, but we just don't have anything available yet. We'll get her into something. Icicle will be able to show us her skills. I'm sure of it. Corporal Luke Hogg Kelly. This man has done good work for me. He is a wizard with those LRM-15s on that trebuchet. Someday I'm going to have to upgrade him out of the trebuchet, and I'm going to feel bad about it, because he's just done such amazing work with them. Landed hits on target, crit things in vulnerable spots, given me kill after vehicle kill after vehicle kill after vehicle kill. Just, and especially when the vehicle was fully armored. He just knew, hey, tracks don't like it when they blow up. Well, tracks didn't like it when they blew up. I love this guy. And especially just his whole look. Look at that man. That is some brutal animal charisma. Just look at him. I am so glad to have him on my team. I want to get him in something bigger, but it's got to be something with LRM, at least 15s. We'll see. Private Pia Croca. Pia didn't see a lot of action on this mission, mostly because she sucks. I'm sorry, Pia, but you showed up at my doorstep with Gunnery 6, Piloting 7. We've improved that a little bit, but you are still so far behind the rest of the squad. I've got veterans, I've got elites, I've got regulars who are pretty good. This is just unacceptable. You obviously forged some documentation, and it is only because Captain Kobe is such an understanding dude that you're still in the company. If it comes down to it, we might actually let you go, but I would much rather prefer to actually have a nice simple contract where I can slap you into a training lance and you can get some training. You can actually go out in that expensive Wolverine of yours. She brought a good mech to the company. It's just, because of the rules, I can't do things like pop her out of that Wolverine, stick that on Katie Trip, and then put her in the Wasp and then just leave her to rot. They get all bitchy if you strip them out of a mech, especially their starter mech, and then put them into a worse mech. They threaten to leave the company and stuff. It's rules. It helps to prevent you from doing shit like that. In any case, I want to put some training on her. I want to make her a good pilot, but she's just so damn behind everyone else. It's going to be an uphill battle. But someday we'll get a quiet contract and we'll be able to get her trained up. Get her up to, some normal ass skills. She'll do good. Oh, now we're into our support staff. Boleslav Katska. Quick note, all of these guys are listed as recruits. I had to do that so that I could keep the soldiers out. Keep them at the bottom of the list. No one cares about them. We care about our soldier leader. We care about Rima Idris. We don't care about the J-Random soldiers. They're just fucking equipment. I don't give fucking details about every one of the LRM-15 shots I take. Why do I give a shit about Yazid Aliyev? I don't. But Boleslav Katska, this guy's one of my just normal issue regular mech techs. Honestly, he hasn't popped up in my mind very much. Unlike the other campaign where I did have some mech techs that I just couldn't fucking trust. They just would fuck up every time. Although I do kinda have that. In this time, the mech techs have done work pretty much exemplary. We were on a mission where you don't have a hangar to work with, you don't have a sophisticated toolkit, you are literally working on mechs in the mud. And despite the penalties that provide, everyone put in the time, kept my mechs maintained. Only twice did I have a significant repair event fail. I had to scrap an arm, I had to scrap a head. Oh no, that's not true. I did also have to scrap a PPC. We did mess that one up too, but that's pretty amazing for the conditions we were working in. Boleslav Katska, he's a cog in the system, but he's a good one. Laura Dew, she's one of my veterans, and she has done some amazing work for us. Whenever things have looked bleak, whenever we have gone down to our veteran stage, two different techs have worked. We've had a green tech work, we've had a regular tech work on getting an arm attached or a gyro fixed or a engine repaired. Laura Dew was always the one that stepped up and was bad on her hands, rubbed them together, and made sure that shit fucking worked. Fucking worked. I could always count on her, and I hope that I can continue counting on her from now. She is skilled at what she does, and what she does is breathe life back into mechs. Well, now this is a fun one. Shukwan Dun. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but she was the very first bureaucrat I hired, admin HR. I always start with HR, because having a good HR on your team improves the quality of the people who show up on your personnel market to hire. And we've gotten some pretty excellent people out of the deal. We got Dizzy, he showed up as a recruit. We got Pugs showed up as a recruit on that market. We got Dynamite. Dynamite is an elite aero pilot, showed up on the market, all because Shukwan Dun did some really good work, and she's still only a regular administrator. She's only a regular. She's gonna do good things for this company. I can taste it. Edine Caldwell. Edine Caldwell is one of my grease monkeys. She and another mech that I'll talk about in a moment have pretty much spent their entire lives slaved to our mechs, keeping them intact. Whenever a new mech would arrive on our roster and need to be maintained until we were done with it, she was the one it got added to. Whenever a mech needed to, desperate, needed her to use her 60 minutes of free labor that she had available each day after doing all of her maintenance rounds, just to have 15 minutes to reload its ammo bins, she was the one that made sure that got done. She's unfortunately kind of a glorified, mechanic, but she's taken it in stride. She has done that work, and she has done it proudly, and our mechs have been in great shape because of it. A lot of our mechs are very high rated. Okay, this is gonna be confusing, because I was talking about, ratings of the mechs, and, over here, we talked about how, our ally rating is like D's, and the enemy's was F's, and F is obviously bad. D is slightly better. For whatever asinine reason, when it gets to component quality, it's backwards. A is the worst, F is the best. Why? F stands for factory fresh. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. But point is, we've got a lot of mechs that are rated at D or E rating, because her and another veteran mech tech have done such great work in keeping them maintained, and it's really, really proved worth it, especially in how easy repairs have been, even while we're swimming around in the mud. Francina Morales, just another one of my regular mech techs. She's been pretty reliable. I can't remember any events where she really dropped the ball. That's really the best I can say about my regular mech techs. I guess that's kind of the sad truth. The squeaky wheel gets the kick, and none of my guys are squeaky wheels. They are a well-oiled machine. Someday, recruit Francina Morales will have enough experience on her roster that I can turn her into a veteran mech tech. Then she'll get a face, and then I'll have a story to tell about her. This person is one of the few dependents we have. We've got only 3 of those guys on our roster right now. We might get some more in later contracts, and you also make a big roll for dependents at the end of each year. Dependents are... I've kind of explained this before, but the best way to think of them is kind of like camp followers. They're people who just kind of signed on to joining a mercenary company, not because they wanted a cut of the paycheck, but because it was way better than whatever they were doing before. Normally they sign up as mech techs, but or sorry, as Aztecs. Aztecs being a hilarious name for assistant technicians, which is just the bulk pool of labor of random guys who lift missiles and peel off armor to help the actual mech techs that have some experience get the real work done. And the these guys, the first ones I got, I decided to assign as medics because you don't have as many medics as you have Aztecs, so it makes them a little more unique. My doctor has done excellent work, and I suppose Bichuvanian has been. That's a hard name to not say offensively. It's kind of offensive also that I noticed this, but at age 43, I think she's the oldest person in the company. I hate to say it, but she might be here because of a midlife crisis. I think I'm gonna make a note of that. That might be her bio. You saw it here, folks. Backstory in the making. Londa Hopkin, our admin logistical, joined the company not long after. She was recruited by Shukwan Dun. Logistical people help out with signing contracts. She's going to be the one that helps make sure that we don't get screwed over again on well, actually, logistical helps make sure that we don't get screwed over on salvage rights. She's the one who's going to make sure that the our contract people treat us well when it comes to salvage. So I'm looking forward to using her for that purpose. Otherwise, she's been signing signing requests for ammo and weapons and whatnot that we've needed to keep our mechs armed and armored. So she's done a good job. Nothing really noticeable. Recruit Lochkod Lieberman. This is one of my green mech techs. This guy is he's got a while to go. He's a green. I can kind of forgive him the times that he messes up, but I have kind of noticed his name come up a fair amount when failures are happening. But what can you ask for? He's a green. He's new to this whole mech life. The weird thing is that he might kind of end up as an evergreen because of the nature of the mech, the tech system, repair system in BattleTech. Because of how it worked, kind of by default, each level of tech can take one shot at doing a roll for doing a repair. So first your green does it, then your regular. If the green fails, the regular can try it. Then if the regular fails, the veteran can try it. And then if the veteran fails, an elite can try it. And we don't have an elite on our team, sadly. We're working towards it. But if an elite fails, there's nothing that can be done, and you have to scrap the component. And because of that, you have to kind of keep some people purposefully dumb, just so that you get that extra roll. Because having an extra roll is better than having more rolls, except like a broader variety of people who can make the roll, but you've got fewer chances to actually make the repair work. I got more than enough regulars to make all the rolls I need. I've actually got a slight problem of a green shortage. I need to get some more greens. Sam Miles, he's another mech tech. I actually have a story slightly brewing for these Free Worlds League because we ended up with a lot of our mech techs from the Free Worlds League. I think that they all kind of came together. I think that's the background that I'm going to give. But for right now, he was just another mech tech. He did his work. I didn't really notice anything heavy about him. Julie Okada. She's another one of my grease monkeys. She has spent, ever since she's joined the company, sealed up in the mech bay, repairing, maintaining, keeping mechs just in tip-top shape, and I couldn't ask for someone to do it better. Both her and Aideen Caldwell have done an amazing job getting these mechs repaired, getting them, well, not really repaired. The maintenance guys don't repair them, but keeping them in excellent condition so that repairs on them are just absolutely butter smooth. They everything slots into place. Everything just peels off and puts back on exactly how it's supposed to. Ammo racks in without squeaking. The gyros activate without sparking. It's perfect. I couldn't ask for it. And clearly she loves the job. I mean, she was the when we were asking for people to maintain a mech, she was the very first name on the list. She leapt forward, and it can't have been because of her name. Adine comes first. So, by whatever method, it was decided that Julie Okada really, really wanted to be my maintenance person, and that's why she's responsible for all of the heavy mechs in the company. She is responsible for maintaining every single one of our heaviest mechs that we've got, and honestly, I wouldn't trust anyone else. She's just so good at it. Jing Sun. This guy's name came up a lot, but not because of his mech tech. It kind of came up an awful lot in the drama generation. So this guy has been busy. He's he's been noticed. Lots of movers and shakers have been paying attention to this guy, and it's kind of fun. I'm curious to see where this guy goes in the world. Inam Johnshed, my other green. Inam actually has an interesting thing, only in that he's so when his role came up, you can feel free to go back to it. But when his role came up, he came up with a 12 on the type, and I had a little self-decision that a 12, if that comes up on the positive type, that means something really nicely positive. And if a 2 comes up, well, that means something really badly negative. He was the first 12 that came up, and I figure that Inam has done some excellent work to kind of endear himself to the company, and also perhaps to one of our senior techs, Idine Caldwell, one of our veterans that is responsible for maintaining everything. He's worked very closely with her, and I'm curious to see where that goes. Oh, I forgot to note, like, the rating and stuff on that. Whoops. Well, you know what? I'll fix it now. Fuck it. You people aren't paying me. I'll do this on my time. Oh wait, no, it's totally there. Yeah, no, that's totally there. Why isn't it showing up there? Well, shut up. It's in the record. I know it is. Kabira Sahiri, the only one of my assistants to currently deserve a nickname, because I'm going to give that only to my elites. But she's a damn elite. She's a doctor. Doctor 4+. She almost can't fail treating simple injuries, as long as she's got a full enough staff, and believe you me, she does. She's managed to treat a lot of the all of the injuries that we've gotten, all the head hits we've taken. She's been right there on them, making sure that we can get back in that fight. Major, certainly not confusing at all, because the highest rank in our group is actually a captain, so yeah, it doesn't confuse anybody. Apparently has been in this biz for a while, because in addition to being a 4+ doctor, she's also a 4+ artillery. That means that she knows how to call in coordinates, and she knows how to man a long tom. I'm really hoping I can get some artillery out here, because I think it would be hilarious to have our doctor roll out in a tank right off screen and start lobbing shells. That would make my day. Especially because then I could be like, oh, here comes major trouble. You get it? Christabel Marinatos, my other free veteran to mech tech. Not assigned to all of the maintenance that 2 of them are. She was one of the few that I have to catch any errors that the regulars make. And she didn't have quite as many of those that she caught as, say, the hell did they go? Well, I see. Oh, Laura. She didn't quite catch as many as Laura did, but did I totally get some things back? No. Heh. I remember. Adine Caldwell is one of my major maintainers. Laura Dew had to do a some side work on that when we had gotten really overloaded with extras. Um, Boy, this is embarrassing. Whatever. You make up. None of this is written in stone. You decide what's true. Anyway, point is, she's one of my one of the two veterans that I have that are more or less free to do stuff. Uh, I don't really remember anything she did. She apparently maintained the stalker for a bit. Don't remember how long that lasted. She's done good work. There we've got the rest of our medics down here. Or actually, no, this is just one of them. We've got one more in a moment. Showed up a bunch of times during the drama generation. So apparently she's caught some attention. These guys, pretty much they're held around so that randomly they can get XP. There's like a 10, on 2d6, you roll a 10, that's, shit. What? Right, like 16% chance that you actually get something. If they hit that 16% chance, they get an XP. They get 5 XP, you can assign them to be something. You could actually wait for them to get 10 XP and make them a green pilot. Just, whatever you feel like. These are the people that you can use to expand your roster really, really slowly. But, they bring a fun little element to the thing of people who are growing alongside your group. Emily Schweiger, she was another one of my regular mech techs. I mean, I've kind of said this a lot, but none of them really stood out as being particularly bad or good. I guess they all just kind of stood out as being good. You really can't ask for much more, can you? Everyone was great. I can't remember anyone doing anything bad. Good work, everyone. Callie Stanton, she's another one of my dependents. No stories really showed up for her yet. Maybe it will in the future. I guess actually the kind of story, I rolled for these guys' location. 2 of them came up as Lyrans, 1 as Draconis. I thought that pretty much indicated that Draconis person, since we were on a Draconis planet, came from a Draconis planet, and the Lyran guys probably were fucking tired of how stupid all their commanders are. Lena Gonzalez is another investment in our future. She is an aerotech. Actually maintains aero vehicles. We don't have any yet, but maybe someday we will. I hope that we will. Helena Serrano is my only veteran admin right now, and I'm looking forward to the work that she'll be able to do with that, because command admins are the people who make sure that we don't get fucked on command rights. This integrated bullshit that we had to deal with this time, she's the one that says, integrated, hang on, commander, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you're not being a big old poopy head? You sure you're not being a stupid face and thinking that integrated is something else? You sure you want to do that? And the commander's like, oh yeah, thanks, Helena Serrano. I wish you had existed several months ago. She was a more recent hire. Boy, I wish she was there at the start. This guy I can talk about. Roderick Rungaldier is our current only mechanic. And apparently he's got some aerospace gunnery too. Huh. He kind of knows how to shoot a plane. Anyways, he is my only mechanic. That means that he works on vehicles. This guy is a mixed bag. On the one hand, he has failed so many 4+ and 3+. And because he's the only guy, if he fails them, that's it. It's done. We don't sell that unit, scrap that part. Well, don't scrap that part, but we're not salvaging it. We have to go and sell it. That's going to someone else. We can't do anything with it. It's kind of interesting how many of those have failed, but honestly, I can't blame the guy because he is a one-man team that has been working around the goddamn clock. Because if there's one thing that we piled up a shitload of on these missions, it was tank after tank after tank after tank rolling into our repair bay, added to his list of shit that he has to strip, has to repair, entirely repair it so that we can sell it at a higher market value. And this guy, I bet he's just drinking himself to sleep each night because I don't understand how else he's going to get the ache out of his palms of being wrist deep inside fucking VDET engines all goddamn day, stripping armor, pulling out ammo bays, wrenching out medium lasers. This guy's done some serious work for me. It's hard to be upset with him when he fucks up, because he's the only guy doing this. Everyone else, they got a safety net. He is operating with no safety net. Just a shitload of whiskey. So that's pretty much everyone that we have on our roster that matters. Let's talk about our mechs. Yeah, this is a long video. This is almost as long as a video, or maybe even be longer than a video that is about an actual combat. Just me talking about my guys. This is how long I can talk about them. This is one of the reasons I love Against the Bot and Mech HQ. I can talk about these guys forever. I love analysis. Let's sort this by our, not by unit name, but kind of by, can we sort by weight? Well, not on the graphic view. Fuck it, we'll do it by size, or by name. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Centurion, decent mech, currently assigned to Laura Henstock, Twinkle Toes. She's done some pretty good work in it, I've mentioned. But the Centurion itself, it's an okay medium. It's pretty slow for a medium, and not great armored, but it makes up for that in packing an AC-10, LRM-10, and medium laser, which is a pretty heavy armament for a 50-ton mech. You can get heavier when you talk like the shit like the Hunchback, but it's pretty clear that the Centurion was designed to be a long-ranging mech, because it's packing enough LRM-10 and AC-10 ammo to go for a long battle. Like, one bin of ammo is usually enough to last you a whole fight, because seriously, which one of our fights have lasted more than 10 rounds? We've had a couple, but not a hell of a lot. This one was designed for long engagements. We don't really need that, so it's possible I'll be altering this to another type. There's a refit out here for the Centurion. The CL9YLW Yen Lo Wang. Wang. It doesn't increase the armor much or the speed, but what it does is replaces that AC-10 with a fucking AC-20. Strips out the LRM-10 too, but replaces it with an AC-20 and enough ammo that you can fire that just the whole damn match and not give a shit. AC-20s are delightful weapons when you can actually land shots on target. Other funny thing, it's got a hatchet. That's pretty rare in this day and age. So getting an actual hatchet on a mech might be fun. Then again, it's kind of lightly armored for being a melee mech. But on the other hand, it wants to be kind of close because of the AC-10 or AC-20 anyway. So why not, you know? Other options are pretty simple. We could replace it with this Centurion CN9AL. That replaces the AC-10 with a much more reliable large laser and keeps everything else pretty much the same. I mean, it also adds a small laser and a couple extra heat sinks. If I'm being honest, I'll probably go with this one because I've got such a boner for lasers. Parts needed 3 heat sinks. Whoa, are you telling me we weren't keeping up with our heat sink stripping? Well, I guess we actually didn't see that many mechs, and we have taken some bad damage on our heat sinks. Well, that's okay. Heat sinks are cheap. But we need to make sure that we strip out some more heat sinks out of whatever mech comes across our table next. This seems like it could be a pretty fun little mech. we don't have quite the punch or the range of an AC-10, but a large laser just builds up heat, and that means that you can keep on firing it and not have to worry about having quite so many explosive things in your mech. Still packing the LRM-10 for some long-range shots and plenty of ammo to keep it fed. I may actually start doing things like ammo dumping at the start of matches. You can dump out a portion of the ammo that you bring to a match just to make sure that you've got one last little explosive part in your mech. And when you've got like one LRM-10 and 24 shots, you don't need all those shots. You need like 12 of those shots. First mech that we lost. Happy mech, the Commando Com 2D. Center torso was destroyed by a direct shot right to the back that burned straight through the center and burned into the torso and destroyed the mech. Like, I wish I had taken a picture of how pristine the condition was of the mech, except for this little hole in the back that destroyed everything that it was. Real sad. We stripped this thing for parts hard. We stripped off its medium laser SRM-4 and SRM-6, all of its ammo, and even stripped the life support sensors and cockpit out of its head. We're pretty much keeping this thing around in case we end up salvaging any other 25-ton mechs, and we can use this to kind of complete them out. It's only worth 56 right now, but if we run into another 25-ton mech, we can load, all of the 56,000. By the way, this is automatically taking half value. All of the parts that are in this thing are altogether worth like 100,000 or so on the open market. We would have to pay out of pocket 100,000. This thing, we can strip it for parts, use that to repair up an existing mech, and sell it for a much higher price than we would get for just this thing. So that's pretty much why we're keeping it around. The Crusader. Crusader is a mech that needs some work. It's got a really big loadout of this is the stuff I can splash at long range. This is the stuff I can splash at short range. This is the stuff that I can do at short range forever. But boy, is it a powder keg. I am not happy about that. There's a refit of this sucker that I'd love to put on it. Let's see here. Which one of these is it? Yeah, we are just out of heat sinks. Weird. It's not this one. This one, honestly, I don't see what's good about this one. Doesn't add jump jets. Doesn't add armor. Just strips out the SRM-6s and a lot of the other stuff. Keeps the LRM-15s, but strips out the... What do you replace it with? It looks like you're stripping out a lot of weight, but what's it going into? I'm confused about this one, folks. Look, if any of you see what, I'm missing. Wait, is it the heat sinks? We do have more heat sinks on this version. Maybe that's what it's for. Strips out the medium lasers, the machine guns, the machine gun ammo, and downgrades the SRM-6s to SRM-4s to add more heat sinks. That is the primary complaint I have about this model. It's got a shitload of weapons and 10 heat sinks. You can't fire all of these. You can fire maybe half of these. You can fire the LRM-15s and already be overheated if you walked. It needs more heat sinks in its design, so that might not be bad. But this guy's packing 16 heat sinks and still has the SRM-6s and just downgrades his LRM-15s to LRM-10s. That's not too bad. That's actually a pretty decent brawler mech. The one that I really want, of course, I can't have. It's got too much lost tech. But this one is more balanced, but really, honestly, I probably want to refit this sucker to the CRD-3K. It'll cost 100,000 C-bills to get all the parts we need, because apparently short on ammo bins are free, but we're short an LRM-10 and short some heat sinks, although we might actually have that LRM-10 by the time we're done. We've got some more vehicles in the bay for poor Roderick. But applying some more heat sinks on there would allow this thing to fire more of its weapons at once. Having 16 heat sinks means that it could fire all of its medium range stuff at once. 4, 4, 3, 3, that's 14. It could walk and do that and be heat neutral. And that means that there's less explosive stuff in it, which I'm generally always a fan of. I don't mind losing that machine gun strafing for having just a generally more safe mech. Genie's Dervish, I've looked at the refits for this thing. There's just not much we can do. All of the versions they're just not that good. Best we can possibly do is make a completely custom version of this mech, but unfortunately, that requires more experienced techs or better equipment than I have. There's a complicated system involved there, in like actually making a custom thing counts as one harder of a refit than it actually is, and it's complicated. I'll explain it someday, just not today. I'm probably over length as it is. Hermes, pretty light medium. He's done good work in it, but I've got a design for him I'd like to put him in. At least temporarily, I'd love to build this Hermes 3, because once again, large lasers. Large lasers are my jam, yo. I just like having reliable shots with energy weapons and not carrying any explosives inside you. Can you blame me? Explosives lost me my best mech. It's only got 11 heat sinks, and that's going to be kind of a problem because it means that it can fire one of these regularly. But firing the other one, automatic overheat by like at least 7 points even if you're standing still. That's not great, and if you've walked any, it's probably more. That's going to fuck with your movement and with your shooting. But on the other hand, if you've gotten into a good position and you can just afford to go straight into heat debt in order to fuck that guy up, that's going to provide you with a lot more hefty punch than an AC5 and a medium laser. Ah, the Marauder. So the Marauder is currently being refit. So I can't show off the refits for it, but right now, I believe the person refitting it is Emily. No, wait. Yeah, I've got it over here. Cristobal Marinatos. Cristobal Marinatos, currently working on refitting this for a version that strips out the AC5 and the AC5 ammo, completely gets rid of that explosive element, just replaces it with a couple more heat sinks and a large laser. You lose a little bit of range and a little bit of reliable fire because the heat sinks that we put in do not make up for the heat that a large laser puts down. But what it does provide is a reliable way to fire those PPCs every turn. Puts the total at 20 heat sinks, so if you're standing still, that's PPCs every damn turn. If you're moving a little, you can fire a PPC, then fire a large laser. Still be heat neutral. Heat neutrality is the name of the game when you love laser boats as much as I do, so that's a really good model to get in. Ostsol has not caused me any problems. Its butt lasers are weird, but it hasn't caused me any problems, and Zero has done excellent work with it. I could refit it for a version that's packing PPCs, but that would make it, that doesn't add any more heat sinks, and strips out its medium lasers, so that makes it a real hot mech, and I'm not super hot on hot mechs. You know, I've complained about that before with like the Crusader. Shadowhawk, PPC, LRM5, dial it in, goddammit. It should do good work. There was a bit more armor on this, and we had a couple lasers left. Thunderbolt. We haven't put anyone in this yet, just because I'm kind of holding out hope. The unit market right now, kind of dry. Not a lot great on it. We saw a Wolverine, but there's really just nothing else here that's really speaking to me. I'm hoping over the next 2 months while we're in transit, we're going to see a good assault mech out on the unit market that we can put Captain Kobe in. Till then, we'll refit this Thunderbolt to that tall man that I was talking about. It's going to take a long time. That tall man refit is a very long one, because it practically strips the mech all the way out and replaces all of its slots that it had open filled with weapons and with ammo and all that junk with a shitload of lasers. and a shitload of heat sinks. And I'm shitloads looking forward to that. God, I love the Thunderbolt Tall, man. I love medium lasers. It's a problem. Hogg's Trebuchet, I don't really see any need to refit it. It's pretty perfect for what it does. It could stand to have a couple more heat sinks, but none of its official variants do that. If I ever started to custom fit it, I'd probably strip out one of those, well, stripping out one of the medium lasers wouldn't help at all. You'd have to strip out two to get it to heat efficiency. No, it's pretty perfect. It's perfect as it is. My perfect baby. mm. 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 Wolverines are really great all-rounder mechs. We ended up with 3 of them in our roster, and honestly that has worked fantastically for me. One of the benefits of them is that they're a command battle mech. They provide bonuses to tactics for any squad that has a commander in one, and Sassy has been doing some excellent work from her command battle mech. The extended torso twist helps sometimes, and the protected actuators just means that it's slightly less likely to get crit on those things, which we have noticed. The cramped cockpit is a super bad drawback though. It makes all piloting checks in that thing worse, which is really a problem, especially when we've got Pia Croquet in one of these. All of these Wolverines started life as a different kind of Wolverine. Let's see if I can see the refit on here. Was this it? No. This is what it was. They all started as this like AC5 SRM6 medium laser version. Didn't like that. Didn't like that one bit. Refitted it. Refitted it to a version that's got more armor. That's done great work for me. It's got more heat sinks. Needs it because of the large laser. Honestly, this Wolverine at WVR 6M, an excellent 55-ton mech. I'd really even just call it one of the best in weight, because it's great armored, it's fast, it's got 5 jump jets, it's maneuverable, it's got reliable weapons. You can fire large laser, medium if you're at sort of longish to medium range. If you're right on top of an enemy, you can fire medium SRM6, and both of those leave you pretty heat neutral unless you jump jetted. Even if you jump jet 5, you can fire your mediums or you can fire your large laser. It's all good. It's all good. It's heat balanced, it's heavily armored, it's maneuverable and fast. It's beautiful. I'd love to have more of them in my army, but one of the problems is that they're pretty pricey for a medium mech. I mean, makes sense. They're a 55-ton medium mech. The cutoff for a heavy mech is 60. They're as heavy as a medium comes. It's pretty great. Pretty great. And then the salvage. Let's talk about these guys in the next thing. Actually, not in this next thing. This is the next thing that's showing me just how few heat sinks I have. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll get more heat sinks, I promise. This is what I'm talking about. This is fucking Roderick Rungaldier's workload that he still has left, and we've been off this planet for a day. He has got 2 vehicles. No, this one's fixable. He can fix this and then strip all of the armor off of it and stick it in our bay, or stick the armor in our bay, sell the vehicle for cash. These 2, he's got to strip the armor off of them, strip the weapons and stuff out of them, then sell the rest for cash. This one, he's currently got to, he's fixed all the pieces of it, but now he's got to strip the armor off of it, strip out some of those medium lasers just to make sure that we have enough medium lasers to build a small fort. and then sell it off. This Vidette, he's fixed all the pieces of it, but now he's got to strip off the ammo, pull out that AC5 ammo bin, and fuck the machine gun bin. I don't give two shits. But and then sell that on the bay. He's just got so much damn work ahead of him. Poor guy. No one in the infirmary. Good work, Major. Nothing in the mech lab. We'll get to that when we are older. Finances, what it's all about. Let's take a look at our net worth versus our old net worth. That's right, I can run 2 sessions of this at once. Hey, I didn't ask you to do that. Now everyone's seeing all my shame. Shut up. Anyways. Which one was what? Yeah, this is the one. We got the Stalker. We started this campaign with a net worth of about 33 million. 33 and all of that pretty much in assets, because we only had 3 million in cash. Now we've got about 12 million in cash, 52 million in assets, and we have actually gained in terms of mech asset. We started with 29, we're now at 38, but I'm going to guarantee you that number would be a lot higher if we hadn't lost Captain Kobe's mech. Those dipshits paid us about 1.7 million a month. Over 4 months, we got paid about, what, 34, 6.4 million? Yeah, we made out like way more off of salvage, and that's just generally the way it goes. Overview of our Dragoons rating then and now. We've added a lot of big talent to the company. We started out as regulars. Now we're veterans. That's added significantly to our quality. Command was 5. Command is now 6. He just learned a little bit of strategy. Go him. Don't know why they got negotiation on there. Who negotiates shit? We're mercenaries. Combat record? 1 successful mission. Thank you. Fucking thank you. Big Sky Lance, you really pulled that one out for me. Dropship capacity? We don't have a dropship. Shut up. Shut up. We're not going to own one. They're fucking expensive. Technology? Yeah, I don't know what it was talking about several missions ago where it said I had an IS-2 unit. It must have been high. I didn't have any stinking IS-2 unit. Well, we didn't, and we still don't, but we've got 19 total units, although I think it's counting the tanks. You know, don't count the tanks. They're not real people. We've got all the support we needed, and we'll continue to have. We've got 844 hours worth of work. We're a little short on, well, actually, no, we're not short on anything. We've got 100% support on everything, 100% of the medical support we need, 100% of the HR support we need. We are set in all sorts of ways, and, most importantly, never went into debt, never took a single loan, didn't need to. We are solvent and will continue to be solvent. So, we've climbed the ranks significantly, but it's a big jump from C to B. We'll keep plowing up there, though. We just need a couple successful contracts under our belt, and we'll keep climbing that ladder. Big thing that this gives us, and especially this gives us, is a nice little cushion. We could remain a C-rated company all the way down to like 40, if I remember correctly. Now, we can have a couple lost missions. That's why I wasn't too afraid of a failed mission. We could soak a little bit, but now we don't have to. It's just a good place to be in. There's a lot of information that you could see in like the hangar and breakdown and personnel breakdown, but really it's just telling you stuff that you've already seen before. We've got mechs. We have more mechs now. We had no vehicles. Now we have some garbage vehicles. We have no infantry. We now got infantry. There's not much to see there. Not much to see there. Honestly, I'm kind of out of stuff to talk about, other than what exactly our plan is, and I've kind of already covered that. The plan from here is pretty simple. We're going to Galatea. Mercenary hiring hall. It's going to take us about 2 months to get there. We may sit there for a while just waiting for a really good contract to come up. Just making sure that when we get into this next, it's going to work in our favor. And once we find a good one, we get all of our mechs fixed up. We look for a good mech on the open market for Captain Kobe. Try to keep a fair amount of our change around for both doing that and for if we have to pay any transportation fees for the next one. We headed off on our next mission, not with the fucking Lyrans. We make sure that we fill out our roster totally every single month near the end because that's a neat little trick. Guys pay out on your give the payout for your missions based on the amount of weight that they see in your company. So you got to make sure that everyone takes the employee photo in front of their mech before the turn of the month. It's just one of those fun things. But that's really all I can think of. And at this point, I've been talking straight on about this company and how much I love it for, Jesus, an hour and 55 minutes. Well, probably not all of the company reviews will be this long. But this was a special one. It was our first. And you never have one quite like your first. Anyway, I hope the background music didn't drive you nuts. I liked it, but I don't know if I hour and 55 minutes worth of liked it. Anyway, that's all from me for this time. I hope that you were able to tolerate this, and the next time you see me, we're gonna have a contract. Or we'll be fucking broke. Who knows? See you next time.